Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to talk about this Hoya Kerrii. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but I only own two types of Hoyas in my entire collection. This Hoya Kerrii and a Hoya Mathilde. And you know what? I actually waited a pretty long time to film this video, and the reason for that is because my green Hoya Kerrii has finally bloomed, and I wanted to show you the bloom and just share care tips as to how I take care of it and how I got it to bloom. So if you're interested and you want to know how I did it, keep watching and let's get into this video. So like I had mentioned, I have two types of Hoya Kerrii. Now this one in particular is the splashy form, and it's not as splashy as I thought it would be. And you know what? It's my own fault. I went on Instagram and then I got FOMO because I saw some really splashy Hoyas. So yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but it's fine. It's been with me for 2 years and it's been putting off new leaves, so I'm pretty happy for that. Now this Hoya is currently residing in ponds, and let's take a look. Oh, okay. So I don't know if you can see, but its roots are popping out over here. So it's doing pretty good. Now, what I will say is Hoyas are super easy to care for up until you start messing with its roots. I find that when you disturb their roots, that's when it starts to throw tantrums, and then it has to, like, I don't know, reacclimate itself, even though it's still in the same medium. And this is through experience, at least for me anyways. I had actually repositioned this plant back in the winter time, and it just threw a huge tantrum. The growth point right here actually ended up yellowing and falling off, and I was just having a total freak out because I didn't know why it was doing that, because it wasn't like I was putting in a different media. It was still the same type of ponds, but I just learned that they don't like to be disturbed. So whatever media you're gonna put it in, let it just stay in there and give it its proper environment, and it'll just grow for you. So this one is in ponds. My green one is actually in soil, and they both are thriving and doing just fine. I do find that the one in soil has grown quite a bit, but I think that's because this one over here is actually the green form, and the green form actually grows quite fast in comparison to the splash form, because when I had them both for a year, this one was actually a much slower grower in comparison to the green form. So I'm gonna figure out a way to show you the green form and the flower. So here's the bloom on this Hoya, and this is so exciting. Honestly, I was super stoked to see it start to bloom because I waited 2 years for it to do this, and I thought that this was going to give off like a sweet fragrance, but it doesn't. I didn't really smell anything. It's actually making more of a mess than anything. So yeah. But this is my Hoya Kerrii. It is the green form, and it's very big. Let me see. So it's very big, and I will eventually need to repot this, but maybe I'll repot it next year, because I just don't want to disturb the roots. And if it's blooming right now, I feel like more are gonna start blooming as well. Like I see some peduncles already that are kind of forming little blooms, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. My green Hoya Kerrii does reside in soil. It is like a chunky aroid mix, but there's a touch more soil than there is I guess chunky ingredients. So like usually I have more perlite and orchid bark. This one has the same amount, just like a little bit more soil. And yeah, when I first got this plant, I actually thought it was at risk for root rot because the soil was so wet. So I wasn't sure if it is at risk for root rot or if they had just watered it. So I went ahead and repotted, and I haven't repotted it since, and it's still in the original container and it's doing fine. What I will say is when I first got this plant, I was actually instructed to mist it, and I did. I was misting it almost every other day and hoping that it would bloom for me, and it definitely did not. it actually ended up throwing a huge fit. I lost several leaves, and every time I would mist it, I noticed that it would look like it's healthy and green, but then like other leaves would drop. So I stopped doing that and left it alone. So both of my Hoyas, ever since I had stopped misting, currently reside next to a west-facing window, and there's no extra humidity or anything like that, and it's been doing fine. It's thriving. And I think the most important thing with all plants is that you just kind of let it acclimate to your home. Now, in the winter time, I do turn on my humidifier, but that's only because where my plants are residing, they're getting blasted with like the heat. So it's very dry when the heat is bumping, so the humidifier is turned on, but in the summertime, it's getting hit with cold air because of the AC. And it's doing fine. All of my plants are doing fine right now. So I'm not gonna change anything. I'm just gonna let it be because it's already acclimated to its new environment. And it has been 2 years, so I think it's doing fine. So now back to misting to get it to bloom. I don't know if that has ever worked for anybody else. In my case, it definitely didn't. What I actually ended up doing with my plant was I would water it regularly and fertilize it. Now, there has been some days where I will let it dry out to like 80%. And from what I was told, when you actually dry out your plant and kind of like make it starve and then you water it, the plant actually ends up like using and saving all that energy and nutrients, and then it wants to reproduce itself because it's thinking, oh, I'm starving right now, I need to figure out a way to reproduce. So that's how you kind of force a bloom. Not to say that I always leave it to dry out like 80%. Sometimes it just happens that way, but I got it to bloom. So I know that sounds like a very unconventional way of getting your plants to bloom, but that's what I did and that's what worked for me. Please try it at your own risk. I'm not saying that everybody should do this. Some plants don't like to be dried out to 80%, just FYI. Some plants will not survive. They will not bounce back. Actually, specifically like the Thai constellation, if you let that plant dry out to like 70% and then you give it lots of water, it will actually shock the roots and the plant itself, and then you'll end up with rot. So please be mindful of that. And please do it at your own discretion. I'm just sharing what worked for me and how I got mine to bloom. So, all right, so one thing that I totally forgot to mention about these Hoyas is if you're at a nursery and you see just this and it's planted in soil, it will not grow for you. It's kind of gimmicky. You're gonna see them around for like Valentine's Day or whatever, but if you only see one leaf, it will not grow. What you're looking for is stems and nodes. So for example, it needs to have like a stem in order for it to root and grow for you. So if, let's say I want to propagate this Hoya, I would actually have to cut it like the way I would cut any of my other plants, and that is to clip it right here, and then the roots will start to grow probably like further up over here where there's like this little aerial root situation going on. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that, because if you had recently purchased a Hoya and it was like a one leaf cutting like that, it will not grow for you. So yeah, back to a regular program. I hope you enjoyed that bloom, and yeah, actually I'm very curious as to why people are so into Hoyas. Like, I feel like there are people that are like Hoya heads, and then there are other people that are like me who are just not into it and they just prefer philodendrons and monstera. So if you have a favorite Hoya, drop the name down below so that I can take a gander and maybe I'll buy one. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.